Synthetic opioids, like fentanyl, are fueling the rise in overdose deaths. Synthetic opioids, like fentanyl, are fueling the rise in overdose deaths. Over the last several years, deaths by synthetic opioids have been on a sharp incline, while overdose deaths by fentanyl. What drug users and people who work with them in Philadelphia talk about is the smell. The smell of rotting flesh from open infected wounds. Some users say they feel ashamed of the state of their bodies. But more feel a sense of urgency. They need help. The wounds are killing them. It is absolutely horrible. That's the reality, though, said James Sherman, known as Sherm around Philadelphia's Kensington neighborhood, where he once used drugs and where he now tries to help those still on the streets. The need for help has become more urgent over the last 3 years, as the animal tranquilizer xylazine, also called Tranq, has become a bigger part of Philly's street fentanyl supply. Xylazine can cause large wounds that won't heal, no matter where you inject it, and they can appear even if you snort it or smoke it. Infections are common and can even lead to amputations. Some people aren't ready to see that yet, Sherman said. It's literally people's flesh rotting, and you can smell it. Kensington has seen the changing nature of America's addiction crisis. It has been well known as a place to buy heroin under the elevated rail line, a short distance, but a world away from the business and tourist centers of downtown. Heroin was edged out by the more powerful synthetic opioid fentanyl. But fentanyl's effects don't last as long as heroin, and so xylazine was added to street fentanyl to give it legs, according to Sarah Laurel, who founded Savage Sisters, the harm reduction group that employs Sherman. Xylazine is not approved for humans, but it's widely available for veterinarians to sedate large animals like horses. Like an opioid, it can kill pain, but it cannot be reversed with Narcan, also known as naloxone, which is used to treat opioid overdoses, according to the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency. As xylazine is usually mixed in with fentanyl, naloxone can help an overdosed person by counteracting the opioid, though other measures may be needed. Workers at Savage Sisters now carry oxygen tanks with them. The drug has side effects like tranq walk, where people seem unaware of their surroundings, along with sores and wounds. Tranq made its mark on Philadelphia's street drugs about 3 years ago. That's when doctors, users and those who try to help them saw a difference. Synthetic opioids, like fentanyl, are fueling the rise in overdose deaths. Over the last several years, deaths by synthetic opioids have been on a sharp incline, while overdose deaths by heroin have dropped off. Drug overdose deaths per 100,000 U.S. residents, 2001 to 2021. Nobody was coming to Kensington to buy Tranq, they were coming to get heroin, said Laurel of the Savage Sisters group. You don't go to your drug dealer and say, "Do you have a nutrition label with this?" You get what you get and you don't get upset. And whatever you get you eventually feel a physical compulsion to do, she said. Kensington now the fentanyl supply has adulterants to xylazine, is in 9 out of 10 samples of lab-tested dope in Philadelphia.
Do you know where your online pills are coming from? If you order prescription drugs online from non-regulated sites or buy them from a friend, you could be risking your health, and even your life. Fake pills laced with potentially deadly. Many fake pills are made to look like prescription opioids, such as oxycodone, OxyContin, Percocet, hydrocodone, Vicodin, and alprazolam, Xanax, or stimulants like amphetamines, Adderall, but contain fentanyl or methamphetamine. Cr. Criminal drug networks are mass-producing fake pills and falsely marketing them as legitimate prescription pills to deceive the American public. Fake pills are more lethal than ever before. DEA lab testing reveals that 2 out of every 5 pills by a trusted medical professional and dispensed by a licensed pharmacy. Oxycodone, OxyContin, Tylox, Percodan, Valium, Xanax, Restoral, Ativan, Klonopin, Adderall, Concerta, Dexedrine, Focalin, Metadate, Methylene, Ritalin.
Drug overdose deaths remain high. 75% of the nearly 92,000 drug overdose deaths in 2020 involved an opioid. More than 932,000 people have died since 1999 from a drug overdose. 1 in 2020, 91,799 drug overdose deaths occurred in the United States. The age-adjusted rate of overdose deaths increased by 31% from 2019, 21.6 per 100,000, to 2020, 28.3 per 100,000. Opioids, mainly synthetic opioids, other than methadone, are currently the main driver of drug overdose deaths. 82.3% of opioid-involved overdose deaths involved synthetic opioids. Opioids were involved in 68,630 overdose deaths in 2020, 74.8% of